Texas is the second most populous U.S. state. In recent decades, it has experienced strong population growth. Texas has many major cities and metropolitan areas, along with many towns and rural areas. Much of the population is in the major cities of Houston, San Antonio, Dallas, Fort Worth, Austin, and El Paso. Population: the 2010 U.S. Census recorded Texas as having a population of 25.1 million, an increase of 4.3 million since the year 2000, involving an increase in population in all three subcategories of population growth: natural increase, net immigration, and net migration. The state passed New York in the 1990s to become the second largest U.S. state in population, after California. Texas population growth between 2000 and 2010 represents the highest population increase, by number of people, for any U.S. state during this time period. The large population increase can somewhat be attributed to Texas' relative insulation from the U.S. housing bubble. The state has a bigger population than that of Australia. As of 2012, the state has an estimated 4.1 million foreign-born residents, constituting approximately 15% of the state population. An estimated 1.7 million people are illegal immigrants. U.S. Census data from 2010 indicate that 7.7% of Texas population is under 5 years old, 27.3% is under 18 and 10.3% is aged 65 and older. Females make up 50.4% of the population. The center of population of Texas is located at 30.943149 a degree N 97.388631 a degree W/30.943149. Minus 97.388631 in Bell County, in the town of Holland. Racial and ancestral makeup: as of the 2010 U.S. Census, the racial distribution in Texas was as follows: 70.4% of the population of Texas was white American, 11.8% African American, 3.8% Asian American, 0.7% American Indian, 0.1% Native Hawaiian or Pacific Islander only. 10.5% of the population were of some other race only, and 2.7% were of two or more races. Hispanics were 37.6% of the population of the state, while non-Hispanic whites composed 45.3%. English Americans predominate in eastern, central, and northern Texas. German Americans, in central and western Texas. African Americans, who historically made up 1/3 of the state population, are concentrated in parts of eastern Texas as well as in the Dallas-Fort Worth and Houston metropolitan areas. European Texas includes a diverse set of European ancestries, due both to historical patterns of settlement as well as contemporary dynamics. Frontier Texas saw settlements of Germans, particularly in Fredericksburg and New Braunfels. Many Romanians, Dutch, Germans from Switzerland and Austria, Poles, Russians, Swedes, Norwegians, Czechs, Slovaks, Italians, and French immigrated at least in part because of the European revolutions of 1848. This immigration continued until World War I in the 1920s. The influence of these diverse European immigrants survives in the town names, architectural styles, music, and cuisine in Texas. Lavaca County, for example, is over 1/4 Czech American. Seguin has a large Slovak American community, and Nederland has many Dutch Americans whose ancestors immigrated from the Netherlands. In the 1980 United States Census, the largest ancestry group reported in Texas was English, forming 3,083,323 or 27% of the population. Their ancestry primarily goes back to the original 13 colonies, and for this reason many of them today simply claim American ancestry. Hispanic as of 2010, 45% of Texas residents had Hispanic ancestry. These include recent immigrants from Mexico, Central America, and South America, as well as Tejanos, whose ancestors have lived in Texas as early as the 1700s. Tejanos are the largest ancestry group in southern Duval County and amongst the largest in and around Bexar County, including San Antonio, where over 1 million Hispanics live. The state has the second largest Hispanic population in the United States, behind California. Hispanics dominate southern, south-central, and western Texas and form a significant portion of the residents in the cities of Dallas, Houston, and Austin. The Hispanic population contributes to Texas having a younger population than the American average, because Hispanic births have outnumbered non-Hispanic white births since the early 1990s. In 2007, for the first time since the early 19th century, Hispanics accounted for more than half of all births, while non-Hispanic whites accounted for just 34%. African American African Americans are concentrated in eastern Texas as well as the Dallas and Houston metropolitan areas. African Americans form 24% of both the cities of Dallas and Houston, 19% of Fort Worth, 8.1% of Austin, and 6.9% of San Antonio. They form a majority in sections of southern Dallas, eastern Fort Worth, and South Houston. A strong labor market between 1995 and 2000 contributed to Texas being one of 3 states in the South receiving the highest numbers of black college graduates in a new Great Migration. Asian In recent years, the Asian American population in Texas has grown, especially in West Houston, Fort Bend County southwest of Houston, the western and northern suburbs of Dallas, and Arlington near Fort Worth. Vietnamese Americans, South Asian Americans, Chinese Americans, Filipino Americans, Korean Americans, and Japanese Americans make up the largest Asian American groups in Texas. The Gulf Coast also has large numbers of Asian Americans, because the shrimp fishing industry attracted tens of thousands of Vietnamese, Filipinos, and Chinese from the coast of the South China Sea in the late 1970s and 1980s. Native American Native American tribes who once lived or resettled inside the boundaries of present-day Texas include the Alabama, Apache, Atacama, Bedoy, Caddo, Cherokee, Chickasaw, Choctaw, Comanche, Coushatta, Hyco, the Krankawa of Galveston, Kiowa, Lipan Apache, Muskogee, Natchez, Quapaw, Seminole, Tonkawa, Wichita, and many others. 3 federally recognized Native American tribes currently are headquartered in Texas: Alabama Coushatta Tribe of Texas in eastern Texas, Kickapoo Traditional Tribe of Texas in the Rio Grande Valley, Isleta del Sur Pueblo of El Paso, Texas. Demographic trends According to Steve Murdoch, a demographer with the Hobby Center for the Study of Texas at Rice University and a former director of the U.S. Census Bureau, the white American population is aging, while minority populations remain relatively young. As of 2011, according to Murdoch, 2 out of 3 children in Texas are not non-Hispanic whites. Murdoch also predicted that, between 2000 and 2040, Hispanic public school enrollment will increase by 213%, while non-Hispanic white enrollment will decrease by 15%. Languages: the most common American English accent spoken was Texan English, which is a mix of Southern American English and Western American English dialects. Chicano English is also widely spoken, as well as African American Vernacular English, and General American English. As of 2010, 65.80% of Texas residents age 5 and older spoke English at home as a primary language, while 29.21% spoke Spanish, 0.75% Vietnamese, and Chinese was spoken as a main language by 0.56% of the population over the age of 5. Other languages spoken include German by 0.33%, Tagalog with 0.29% speakers, and French was spoken by 0.25% of Texans. In total, 34.20% of Texas's population age 5 and older spoke a mother language other than English. Religion. Texas is a part of the strongly socially conservative, evangelical Protestant Bible Belt. The Dallas-Fort Worth area is home to 3 major evangelical seminaries and several of America's largest megachurches, including the Potter's House pastored by T.D. Jakes and Prestonwood Baptist pastored by Jack Graham. Houston is home to the largest church in the nation, Lakewood Church, pastored by Joel Osteen. Lubbock, Texas has the most churches per capita in the nation. In 2000, the religious demographics of Texas were: Evangelical Protestant Euro 64.4%, Roman Catholic Euro 21.2%, Mainline Protestant Euro 8.1%, Orthodox Euro 0.1%, Hindu, Sikhs, Buddhists, Muslim, others 2.0%, and claimed Euro 4.5%. The largest single denominations by number of adherents in 2000 were the Catholic Church 4,368,969, the Southern Baptist Convention 3,519,459 and the United Methodist Church 1,022,342. Evangelical Protestant Christian influence has had a strong social, cultural, and political impact in Texas throughout its history, but not all Texans share this view of Christian religious doctrine. Austin, the state capital, is perceived as a more secular and liberal community. Other religious groups in Texas include Jewish Texans. Most of the state's estimated 128,000 Jews live in or around Dallas and Houston. Cities and towns. 6 Texas cities have populations greater than 500,000, including the 2 global cities of Dallas and Houston. Texas has 25 metropolitan areas, with 4 having populations over 1 million and 2 over 6 million. Texas also has 3 of the 10 cities in the U.S. with populations greater than 1 million, and is tied with California for the most of any state. Austin, Fort Worth, and El Paso are also among the top 25 largest U.S. cities. The Texas Urban Triangle is a region defined by 3 interstate highways: I-35 to the west, I-45 to the east, and I-10 to the south. The region contains most of the state's largest cities and metropolitan areas, as well as nearly 75% of Texas' total population. See also: German Texan, History of the African Americans in Texas, History of the Mexican Americans in Texas. References. External links: Keva, Jeannie. Census finds thousands of Californians flocking to Texas. Houston Chronicle. Tuesday, November 15, 2011. Laverty, Craig. Texas, the Land of Davis, White, and Martinez. Houston Chronicle. July 16, 2013.